there are things that I make just for the sake of them looking cool. So
Mhm.
that all, I guess, is a conversation starter just because
Mhm.
something that maybe other people find looks cool or want to know how you did it. That's a
Mhm.
great conversation starter. But I think also, speaking of bigger projects, those ones are more personal to me. And I think whenever you're doing any art that is personal to you, it's sort of naturally injected because you know the story and you're very passionate about it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Refocus. I am your host, Efemia Shani, and this is a Style by Nave production. Today, I am happy to welcome with me Vivian Han-Tat. Vivian is an interdisciplinary artist whose work exists between 2D and 3D, bridging where our world and the digital lasso meets. Her work often combines elements of photography, graphic design, 3D render, and design-built installations. The exploration of stories and the details that make them unique are what define her work. Viewers are often pulled in between nostalgic in real life memories and surreal futures of the digital space, which is really, really cool. I'm so happy to have you here, Vivian. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, yes, and your outfit is looking amazing.
Thank
I'd
you.
love to know, could you please describe your style in 3 words for us?
Minimal, mm, boxy, and boots.
Boots. Ooh. And yes, I love these boots. Can you let us know where you got the boots from?
They're, oh man, I think they might just be from Urban Outfitters like 10
They're
years
really
ago.
cool. I really like the leather makeshift
Yeah, the
like
snake
snake print.
print.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
makeshift. I love that. I really love that. So I would love to also know with within your style, you said your style is very boxy, minimalistic, you know what I mean? What message do you think or believe your style is conveying to the world?
A message. Um, Probably that I'm relaxed because most of the most of the outfits I'm wearing are quite oversized. I like to be chill. I like to sort of live as if anything can happen. So if I need to jump a fence, I have pants on, and if I need to run, I have boots on.
I love I love that thinking like girl, I am ready. This is giving very functional, very practical.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. That's really cool. I've never thought of dressing up myself in that viewpoint, but I really not. I'm gonna start thinking of that. I really like that.
Like I'll wear a skirt, but then I'll be like, "Oh, let's wear like shorts underneath and maybe some sneakers because we never know what's gonna
We never
happen."
know. We're on site. We're ready for whatever.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that. I love that. I know that your work is very multifaceted. You're an interdisciplinary artist, right? Could you share the story of how your artistic journey began? Like, what were some key influences in your formative years?
My dad is very artistic.
Mm,
He is really great. Like he's a great painter and artist. So I think I grew up with it in our household. It was very creative. And then um I think all through school I was just drawing a lot as like a hobby, didn't really think anything of it. Um and then when I went to university, I took architecture, which is sort of a in between of science and art
yeah.
together, which is what I had thought when I went into it. So that's kind of how my background in the creative field is. So growing up drawing a lot and then in school being sort of between science and arts.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's really cool how you have those sorts of trainings of being at home, being in a very saturated artistic household and how you're able to see all these different talents and sort of embody them and take them on as your own and create your own thing with it, right? And then moving into architecture and now what you're doing with your interdisciplinary work, 3D, 2D work, which is really, really phenomenal. Like I look through your website, I'm just like, yo, this girl is dope. Like
Thank you.
this girl is super, super, super dope. I love what you're able to do with just the digital space of art, you know what I mean? I would love to know were they any pivotal moments or projects in your early years or your early career that defined your artistic direction?
Um, I think most pivotally, probably during the pandemic. During
Mm.
the pandemic, I was living and working in Montreal, so I was doing a lot of photography. That was my full-time job. But after I got off work, I would be on trying to learn Photoshop and like 3D render. So that's basically all I did. And then when the world kind of shut down, I was full time doing 3D render stuff. So
Yeah.
and that sort of well sharing more of that online during that time was
Mm.
kind of how people found my work, and I got a lot of 3D work and digital content
Mm.
jobs. So that's sort of maybe what other people get the impression of, is that I do a lot of 3D work on
Mhm.
Instagram. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I really love that. I love how like COVID was like a pivotal time. I feel like that was for a lot of us too, where it's like we started to express ourselves more because like, yo, this what are we gonna do at home?
Yeah. Yeah,
What can
sorta.
we do? Right. So it's really cool that you're able to like push that forward. And wait, did you teach yourself how to do it, or did you have like sort of like training or with that?
During school, I did
Mm.
learn some 3D work, but it was in a different realm, I guess, more, technical for buildings and such,
Yes, yes.
but I was aware of 3D programs and the types of, like, functions that are built into the program, so
Mm.
I was used to it a little bit when I was exploring Blender, but most of
Mm.
it was, learned through just YouTube
Yeah.
University.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really interesting how you're able to bridge like 2D and 3D art. Could you kind of explain like your process of bridging both into your artistic works? I know like you have done a lot of like creative project, creative collaborations, and you even incorporated that at times even to your photography and like fashion, like lookbooks and whatnot. So I'd love to know like how you're able to like what's the process of bridging both 2D and 3D into your work?
Yeah, I think, with my background in, uh, e-com photography or product photography,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just being interested in photography on my own, um, I think maybe the 2D and 3D was a reflection of sort of the struggle of learning between both. So my background was in photography, but I was learning all these new skills through Photoshop, animation, and also like 3D render. So kind of the rough putting together of both became sort of a language that I took in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just here and there, like making my photo a bit more interesting with an animation, or
Yeah.
maybe plopping in some like 3D elements that I like rudimentary ones that I was learning in 3D in Blender. Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
That's really cool. I'd love to really even like dive deep into like just like the technicality of it. Like, what techniques do you use to create like those seamless like integrations? Are there any like specific like software or tools that you rely on for building these worlds that you create for us? Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much live in Photoshop and Blender 3D.
Okay.
And then I guess for animation, I'm in After Effects a lot. Yeah, those are the 3.
Yeah.
I would
Wow.
say, yeah, I would say if you could learn Photoshop, it's like it could open the world for you.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love and I really love, like, how you're able to blend all of it, and I feel like at times, like, it can be challenging to do that. Like, would you say, like, what were, like, the initial challenges early on in, like, "Okay, I want to merge these worlds together, all these things like photography that I'm doing, doing installations, 2D, the 3D rendering and everything like that. Like, what was it? Because now as an interdisciplinary, you're now like saying that okay, I'm able to merge all these things in
Yeah.
like a seamless way that has like a voice, that has a story to tell. What was sort of like those challenges you had faced to get to that point?
I think mostly technical.
Mm.
I think that's how I felt when I was first learning Photoshop as well. Like, I'm a very hands-on person. I think
Yeah.
maybe because of drawing when I was younger.
Mhm.
So when everyone was learning Photoshop, I was like, "Okay, this is cool, but I can also cut what I need to cut out with,
Mm.
like, scissors, and it would take me way less time than the technicality of learning how to use the program." Like, the learning curve of the program is a little bit of a challenge,
Yeah.
and I felt that way learning Photoshop, and I also felt that way learning Blender or any of the 3D programs as well, but you just gotta you just gotta want to do your vision more than than fighting the technicality. You're like,
Mm.
I gotta get this like 3D render done, and I see it in my head. I gotta get
Yeah.
it out. And whether that's just Googling someone who's done it before and following the tutorial and learning to do it that way, or like piecing together other people's advice to try to do it, I think yeah, it's really difficult, but after you get over the learning curve, it makes you feel like you can make anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I like that. I like how like you were more focused on like actualizing the vision, but then being like so stuck on that technicality. I feel like a lot of times people can be like so like, because I'm not getting the technicality side of things, like let me just not like do it anymore, like give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're like, no, I need to make sure that this vision comes out. It may look wonky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're like, you know what, at least I tried it and you
Yeah.
can learn from that,
Yeah,
right?
I think you can scroll back on my feed and see some of the early animations that I did
Yeah.
before using any 3D rendering programs or even After Effects. I think I was just doing all animations in Photoshop,
Mm.
which you can do, but I was doing them frame by frame. So they're quite rudimentary looking and choppy, ugly. But yeah, you can kind of see the progression.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. Nah, definitely the progression is there. Like, I've seen like your recent project with like even Rochelle, like her tufting,
Yeah, her
but
rugs,
yeah,
yeah.
rugs, right? And even like those are project you did like um a video graphic thing that you did for one of her launches. And I was like, this is really cool. Like I
Yeah,
like
duck
the
too.
yeah, so I thought that was like really, really cool how you were able to capture that vision and like seeing your work from before and now seeing the progress, like
Yeah.
that dedication is definitely there, right? So I love that you were able to keep it going. And I know a huge part of your work is definitely capturing the emotion of things and like the storytelling, right? So how do you ensure that the narrative and the emotional like essence of your work is maintained when you're like transitioning between 2D or 3D? Because sometimes like things can get lost in translation, you know what I mean? So like what helps you be like, okay, like I'm still connecting the dots and when people are viewing my work, they can see exactly they can also have like conversations around like what I've created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are there are things that I make just for the sake of them looking cool, so
Mhm.
that all I guess is a conversation starter just because
Mhm.
something that maybe other people find looks cool or wanna know how you did it, that's a
Mhm.
great conversation starter, but I think also, speaking of bigger projects, those ones are more personal to me, and I think whenever you're doing any art that is personal to you, it's sort of naturally injected because you know the story and you're very passionate about it.
Mhm.
So whatever you make sort of will have that feeling in it.
Mhm.
And if it's not clear to other people, there's still an inkling and an intrigue that brings people in to want to talk
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love how like you are able to just kind of like capture like that attention, like, hey, like, see this cool thing, like let's chat it up, you know what I mean? And like I really love your project bowl cuts. Like that's I feel like that was one of the projects where I was like very much like invested a bit into like your work. I was like, ooh, this is really, really cool. Like I've seen your work and I'm like, oh yeah, she's like a great photographer. I love what she's doing. Comment, fire, fire, fire.
Thank
But
you.
like that project just really stood out to me because of I feel like the way you carried us in the journey of even developing and creating that project was really, really fascinating to me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No.
Yeah. Like I felt it for me, I was like, oh, this is the first time I felt like sort of like in your circle of like, oh, this is like how she did this. Like, and then now getting people to like come and check it out, check out the exhibition, come and check, like, view my work, let's chat. And even the video that I believe your boyfriend created,
Yeah.
of just like the was it like the promo of it or the just like the installation itself?
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool of how like you really carried people along with you,
Yeah.
right? So like your that project I was very much like personal to you because it
Yeah.
it it, it took you back to like, Chinatown, like your mom's business and just like your view of beauty
Yeah.
within your culture, right? Can you
Yeah.
just let people know like where you're from, like ethnically?
Ethnically Chinese.
Yes.
My parents, grew up in Vietnam, so there's sort of like a cross between. When I
Okay.
was growing up, I was really confused actually because 'cause they'd be speaking Vietnamese, but
Uh,
but you're Chinese. And I'm like, okay, sure. And
I
also,
love that.
because yeah, they grew up there. They grew up there, and my grandparents were there. So even when we went back, I think I was more rooted in Vietnam and that
Mm,
culture, even though
okay.
ethnically we are Chinese.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, no, that's really cool that you have like those dualities, like those cultures, and I can now see how that even comes out in this project itself, right? So I'd love to know, like, can you share like the core inspiration behind it and how it evolved from your previous projects? I feel like for this one, there was a lot of like deep soul into it, like even like reading through it and seeing the process that you even had on like your website, even the weeks that you were promoting it and everything. I was like, wow, this is something that I've never seen before, I've never heard about, and I was very intrigued about just like the culture aspect of it. So I'd love to know like what evoked you to really invest your time in creating it, and how this has evolved from what you previously like had done. Yeah.
yeah, I think trying to go back to when there's the rudimentary kind of like putting together of 2D and 3D elements and like
Mm,
practicing and learning new skills. I think making cool looking things on Instagram is great, but I always want to do larger projects. And I think as a photographer, you want to show a body of work and not,
yeah.
and also be able to show it on a wall where people are walking through a gallery or something rather than
Mm,
scrolling through a carousel on your
yes.
phone. I also think Stratus is a really big influence on how I wanted to show a body of work that was
Yes.
very succinct
Can
and
you let the audience know who like who Stratus is? There Stratus.
yeah.
What's my Stratus? Yeah.
Yeah, Stratus is a local magazine, a public annual publication in Edmonton.
Yes.
We're focused on film photography and experiential art. Um, we take submissions based off of themes each year, and then also through our community submissions. So our
Yeah.
readers can also send us images that they've taken as well.
Yeah.
Um, they're crazy. They have like a film lab locally, and they
Yeah.
do a lot of events for photo walks or food pop ups. Like basically, just a creative outlet for any of
Yeah.
us that
They're
want to
very,
try
very
something
cool.
out. Then
A
yeah,
very, very cool crew. But yeah, going back into your the inspiration of like the work that you the bull cuts, right?
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um, in my head, I didn't think it was such a serious thing, but I guess when you share something that is personal to you that
Mhm.
other people can relate to, it becomes a much bigger universal
Yes.
narrative. So
Yes.
I've my mom cuts hair, or she used to work as a hairdresser when I was growing up. Not anymore, but she still does cut my hair. But
It looks good. I like the
thanks.
friend, yeah.
Yeah, so and I'm sure, like, even if your mom didn't cut hair, you have had some sort of auntie cut your hair when you're younger, and you've had a terrible bowl cut that had bangs that were really either really short or really uneven, and that is the story that I think a lot of Asians, but also immigrant kids, I think, have.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because there's a barrier to, like, where you grew up and where, um, your family comes from, so
Mhm.
maybe the person doesn't understand your hair texture, or maybe your parents can't communicate with the hairdresser what they really want.
Yes.
So, it's just so funny that it's a sort of universal thing, and that the story of my mom had kind of been tied in with that sort of beauty and, um, like, a commentary on the beauty of how immigrant the beauty for immigrant kids.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love how like you yeah, especially one of my favorite parts of it was like the what do you call it? The hair color
Oh, the hair dye box?
yeah, the hair dye boxes. Yes, yes, yes. I thought that was really cool. I loved how like you had like was it your face?
No, that's my sister.
Really? You guys look like twins.
That's what a lot of people say, actually.
Oh my, is she older or
She's
you?
younger.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's actually so cool.
Yeah.
I loved how like you recreated that.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool. And I feel like that even stands out even from like the beauty and fashion industry of like how we look for those sorts of like representation of like, ooh, someone that looks like me, or even
Yeah.
like what does beauty mean? Like, and how can I define beauty from what I'm seeing in society, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I love to know like for you, like how would you say the story helped you perhaps maybe redefine beauty for yourself, or made you have like a different perspective on beauty, on hair? Is there any way that you had this sort of like aha moment when you were doing the project itself?
Yeah, I think growing up, we were lucky to grow up in the time where there were Asian markets that had Asian beauty in the stores in Canada, so I could just run around in the aisles and find someone that did look like me on a box.
Hmm.
Especially with wanting to dye your hair blonde or
Yeah.
bleach your hair blonde or something like that, but, yeah, I think doing the project made me realize that because when you're growing up, you're like, "Cool, like, this is what I know."
Yeah.
But now looking back, it's super cool to know that we could have gotten a hair dye box with someone who looks like you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hair dye for dark hair,
Mm.
which is super cool. And then same with makeup too, like, I think especially now with, I know we were talking earlier about Asian beauty and other brands from, overseas, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really popping off right now, but it's
Yes.
so great to, like, learn about that and also have access to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, that's really cool. I love that. And I know that you have collaborated with like various like retailers and independent brands here in Edmonton, such as like Fouche, Anonymous, Rochelle. How has these experiences influenced and shaped your artistic project? Because I know fashion, even just like the way you dress yourself very artistically, right? So how has working with these, brands and retailers influenced your artistic like project, even your artistic work in general?
Yeah, a lot actually. Super grateful to them. Both their teams are really great and open to experimenting and really trust me whenever they bring me in, which is I appreciate that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Foosh, I would say, taps into maybe more of my younger self with more of like streetwear leaning, and even the photography keeps me in tune with sort of the photography that I was really wanting to emulate when I was younger. So a lot of stuff from uh just like Tumblr or skate magazines or,
Mm.
um, magazines in general, I think, of, like, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then Anonymous is much more refined and kind of, like, where I would want to be. I remember looking at their photos and being like, "This, GB, the photographer there, is
Mhm.
amazing." Like, I really admire his work, and
Mhm.
I wanted to, like, improve to be, um, part of their team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I love that. And what would you say, in what ways would you say like the commercial aspect of fashion intersects with your personal like artistic goal or projects? I know very much you have had like pretty big clients for fashion project where you have done like some photo shoots for them, right? Would you say like, yeah, so what in what ways has that intersection like influenced your work?
Um I think it's sort of a back and forth because
Mm.
growing up, I was always looking online at editorials because I really loved fashion editorials. I
Yes.
think that's where like my photography heart is. I really love doing those types of image, more creating those types of images,
Yes.
and then sort of working in retail is helping me with like styling and also, like, seeing what's new and how people are perceiving these items as well,
Mhm.
kind of being on the ground, because
Yes.
I think when you're seeing editorials in magazines like Vogue or what have you,
Mhm.
those seem sort of out of touch and also don't really necessarily relate to someone who you might be sitting with.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, both working in it and then also doing it gives you, like, a good balance, so you can
Yeah.
kinda create things that might look really beautiful, but also tell stories that people on the ground can actually relate to
Yes.
and be like, "I wanna buy that."
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, I love the like relatability aspect of like what you're saying. Cause I feel like, like you said, a lot of like the Vogue magazines and stuff like that, like those large magazines can be very much like feels like so unattainable. Like if you want even if you wanted to like submit your work, you're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna submit it over there. I get in or something like that. But I love that how like even your editorials has like this sort of like playfulness to it, right? And it's
Yeah.
really, really cool how you're able to work with all these different types of like brands to actualize like a part of yourself into their vision too, and
Yeah.
the freedom to do that, right? So I'd love to know like I feel like there's a lot of creatives nowadays who are getting into like 3D sorts of work, or especially like photography and like styling and whatnot, right? So
Yeah.
I'd love to know from your perspective, what sort of advice would you give to an emerging artist who's looking to explore like interdisciplinary forms of art, and like what even does like interdisciplinary mean to you? I feel like we can start there
Yeah.
and then go into like, okay, for somebody who wants to combine, like they have like all these talent, and I feel like some people may feel like at times like this sort of shame at times, like, oh, jacks of all trades, but actually you can thrive in
Yeah.
like all these different things. I feel like it's
Yeah.
knowing how to manage. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like the first thing would be, okay, interdisciplinary, like what does that mean to you? And for those who are wanting to enter into that space of artistic work, like what sort of advice would you give to them?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's such a big question. I ask myself all the time, "What am I doing?" Um, I think it just means that you are taking skills you learn from, one medium of artistic creativity and, like, putting it into something else. It's sort of like the synergy between the artistic, things you do. So
Yeah.
you're a photographer, but you're also really into magazines,
Yeah.
then you're kind of, "How can I play with these 2 together?"
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
bringing your ideas together. It's talking to a lot of people. It's realizing that, you might have one skill in photography and you really like magazines, but you might not be good at layout design, and being like,
Mm.
"Talk to someone.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
say what you need."
Yeah.
That's also good advice, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm the kind of person that never wanna talks about a project until I know that the project is happening, or I know that it's along to a certain extent.
Mhm.
But I think sometimes you gotta learn to tell some people around you, like your network that you trust, or your network that is helping you with your
Yes.
creative endeavors, and let them know, like, what you're looking for and what
Yeah.
skills you wanna learn, and there's always someone around that can point you into the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that advice. I love like I was even talking with the team earlier that's like a resounding like message on this podcast. It's just like that community aspect of finding people who are willing to support you,
Mhm.
whether it's through like collaboration or teaching you or mentoring you
Yeah.
in certain like skills or whatnot. So it's really good that you have also like that perspective of things. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's really good advice for creatives to be like, okay, yes, you have a project, like share with people who you trust, you know what I mean? If you need help, reach out to somebody that has that skill. Because instead of sitting down on YouTube for like 3 hours, like how do you edit this? Like find somebody who can literally cut it down to like, an hour or maybe like 30 minutes, right? To
Yeah.
support that. I feel like just that courage to do that is so key because you are saving a lot of time.
Yeah, but also don't be afraid to try something out that you
Mhm.
don't think you belong in. Because I think a lot of artists are like, "Oh, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do sound or
Mm.
something." Which it is a very different world, but, like,
Yeah.
there are skills that you learn in the creative field that can be applied to many other creative fields
Yes.
as well,
Yes.
and you just gotta have, like, an open mind to be like, maybe I'll try this out,"
Yeah.
and then you can use those skills together, and then you have
Yeah.
something that comes together like how I did for photography and 3D.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really cool. I love to know, like, what is one thing you believe the Edmonton fashion scene needs for it to grow, and how can it start today? Because I know that you you do a lot of different things, right? And which is really cool. And you have a really strong network, a good community working with stratas, other people in the industry, like Foosh and whatnot. Like from what you see as how like the industry is evolving and growing, right? Like what do you feel like could really like push it even further?
Oh, in terms of the fashion industry in
Yeah,
Edmonton?
in Edmonton, yes.
I think people need to step out of their boxes a little bit. I know going to the mall where you can shop at 40 stores at once to get sort of an idea of what you like is probably a good starting point,
Yeah.
but you also should, walk around, go into a store that has a mannequin that you know you wouldn't wear that outfit, but you should just wander in and see what there is, because I think that will will help out small businesses also,
Mm-hmm.
because you might not know what's in there and you might find something you like.
Yes.
I think that's, like, on the retail aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
a big part of how Edmonton can grow, and just having a variety of styles instead
Yeah.
of just a giant mall serving us one style.
Yes. Yeah. For real.
But, yeah, I think that's probably, a good first step, is just being open to it. Yeah, I think it's very hard to kind of break that bubble if you're especially if you're just staring at your phone on social media a lot and being influenced by everyone else's taste.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. No, I like that. I like that you're, invest in local. Like that's really, really important. And like you said, being open to trying new things. I know even as stylists, like that's something we try to encourage to like clients, like, let's explore. This
Yeah.
may not be exactly like your style, but like you might learn something new about yourself at the end of the
Yeah.
day, right? So it's really cool that you also have like that strong perspective. And I feel like there's a lot of like local boutiques. Like I'm always uncovering so many. I'm like, oh, you guys have been here. Like you just in your
Yeah.
little corner on White, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or in Jasper. So it's really cool that we have those businesses, that we need to like support those businesses, right? For
Yeah.
more creativity and diversity to expand in the city,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. And I know that you being you have such a strong influence and role within like the Edmonton like creative scene, and even like the fashion scene here, especially from like the retail perspective, right? What changes do you hope to see within the industry? Like, is there anything you're like, you know what, I really would love, apart from like, the what you had mentioned of like ways we can grow, but more so like, you know what, I would love for us as a community, as an ecosystem to get here one day.
I would yeah, I think I would like the of course, we were talking about the growth of more maybe more boutiques and bringing in more styles and diversity, but
Mhm.
also then those small businesses sort of creating an ecosystem that taps into the creative scene as well, because in order to move the items, you also probably are talking or, like, marketing to people who might be more creative.
Mm.
So creating that, like, line of communication, and
Mhm.
maybe that could turn into a photography job, or
Mm.
if there's a cool store that opens up that has a cafe, and then there's, like, other people that like, it's creating a network of creative
Yes.
people that are all working together.
Yes.
Um, I think that's kind of hard, like, I have this conversation a lot about, what boutiques can afford to do, especially, because the fashion industry is quite small and,
Small.
like, it's
Yeah.
hard in Edmonton,
Yeah.
and I think yeah, I think if they could expand it so that,
More
um
of an experience
yeah,
that way.
an experience, but also just, like, I guess I don't know how to explain it, but, like, the back end of retail always will require, something happening online, something happening on socials, and those are all creative jobs that revolve around fashion,
Yes.
and I think with Edmonton boutiques being a bit smaller, they're usually doing everything in-house, like, the manager might be the person doing it,
Mm.
but I think, like, if there's a way for it to grow where there's a person that is specialized in it,
Yes.
then everything can be better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, like really creating like that channel and that team of like,
Mhm.
communication and expertise
Yeah.
within it. So, and I definitely very much agree with that. Cause I feel like at times, like when you're the only one doing that job, like there's an extent that you can go
Yeah.
within that business, right? Cause
Yeah.
like the capacity, you know, would never be as powerful as the capacity of one who has like at least one other person on their team,
Yeah, and I
right?
understand that it's really hard when you're starting out,
Mhm.
especially yeah, if you're not at the mall and you're not getting as much foot traffic or
Mhm.
something, but I think it can really elevate your brand into to
Yes.
the next step,
Yes.
especially because, yeah, like, there's so much creativity and fashion, like, linked, and there's so many behind the scenes roles that no one really
Mhm.
thinks about,
Yes,
so I
a
think
lot.
opening up those and allowing like, not even younger kids, but just different people to take over those
Yeah.
roles can really grow the scene.
I like that you mentioned that because I feel like Um, it's also like lack of awareness at times. So like one of the huge thing about our podcast is like exposing and opening our eyes to the diverse roles within the industry. Cause I feel like when people think of fashion, they think of like fashion design
Yeah.
or like fashion photography or styling. Like actually there's a lot. You can do PR, you can do marketing, you can go in policy,
Yeah.
there's a whole nine yards, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like even as like business owners, like in the fashion industry, like educating ourselves like, okay, what are contributing roles to elevating my business?
Yeah.
And where can I find those talent?
Yeah.
Right. So like you mentioned in that really just kind of like sparked that in my mind. Cause I feel like there are a lot of boutiques here. And it's like, how can we push what you're doing to the forefront. Whereas like the masses are doing so much, but we already know like how they're getting their things out there. You know what I mean? They have their whole creative production team in Toronto or London.
Yeah, and somewhere else.
Somewhere else. So it's like, why not do something like that here? But I feel like the first thing is like knowing what is out there or knowing what could support.
Yeah, knowing what to do.
Knowing what to do,
Yeah.
right? No, I love that perspective that you brought, because I feel like that would encourage a lot of our viewers to really like think about, you know what, like perhaps maybe I'm not meant to be a designer. I love fashion, but like, is design the only thing for me? I think everyone is always gunning for that designer role. Like, I want to intern at LVMH. We had design at LVMH, or students like, yeah, that's really cool. But like, there's like literally over 100,000 people going after that same role, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's really open our eyes and understanding to what else is out there. So I really appreciate you bringing that point. But thank you so much, Vivian, for being here, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. Could you share with our audience where they can connect with you further?
Yeah. Check me out on Instagram. My username is THRVHT, or you can go on my website, which is also thrvht.com. Yeah, that's probably where you'll see most of my work. On my website, info, and then on Instagram, just what I'm doing on the daily.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. She's a dope gal. She's just calm about it, but she's pretty cool, So thank you guys for your thoughtful participation and engagement today. And for those interested in revisiting this episode and the educational resources in collaboration with Vivian today, please do check it out on our website and our social media. We'll have it all there for you. And also would like to say a huge thank you to our studio sponsor, Strong Coffee Marketing, and our set design sponsor, Find Edmonton, for your support and contribution in ensuring and making sure that our podcast is possible today. Till next time, thank you all very much. Bye. Thank you for tuning into Sunday Refocus, where we embark on a journey of empowerment and growth for emerging creatives in the fashion industry. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've been inspired by the stories and advice shared by today's guest feature, please don't forget to like this, subscribe to our podcast channel, follow us on Instagram, and share this with your fellow creative friends.